Right then everybody, let's have a look at Bitcoin and Harmony One and Matic, shall we? So we'll work out what's going on with these at the moment. So it's been a bit of an update for the vast majority of decent alts actually. You could call it the alt season. Now, is the alt season over? It's hard to say. Bitcoin dominance is still down and actually is a bearish chart. I'm not going to bother getting the chart up now, but it looks like it wants to continue making new lows. But that's because alts are rallying. Now Bitcoin can also rally, but not as much as the majority of these top cap alts. And I'm talking like BNB, even XRP, Link massively. I mean, ADA, the lot. You know, all the top caps are moving, and the small caps have made some moves too. So first of all, let's have a look at Bitcoin, shall we? And then we'll have a little closer look at Harmony and Matic. All right. So I just popped this trend line in here. So this is the trend line that we're at right now, a descending resistance trend line that's been respected, I suppose, today as well. Measuring just on the wicks, not the candlesticks. So it's getting a little messy, this chart. So I am gonna take this one out now because it's completely not needed anymore. You might notice I took my pitchfork out as well because that was broken, and even though I could have added another layer to it, I decided just to take it out, and maybe we can make another one at another time. But for the moment, that was invalidated, which makes me think that maybe there's a case for a short-term bullish move, and that bullish move now to me would be anywhere above this descending resistance line. So as of today, the top of that would be, did it get that high today? No. Maybe it did. I didn't realise, but no, it didn't. No, it didn't. Did it? I'm gonna have to check that. Is that real? I've been too busy looking at alts really today to realise if Bitcoin did anything like that. It did. Well, that was sneaky. I didn't even notice that. I look so unprepared. My focus has been specifically on alts today. So I mean, Bitcoin is just, when did that happen? So yeah, I mean the trend line rejected at 9,382. So that's surprising. I didn't realise. Anyway, this is gradually going down. What would it be? Roughly, not much. We're talking about $25 a day, so it's not very steep. So there's a very strong chance that this could break out. And if we did break out of here, the next sort of target area I would expect would be all the way up to our previous high here. So around about 9,800, and that's where I would expect a rejection. Now if we did break through that, then we're coming to test this super trend line, the one from that's been 2.5 years in the making. If we can test that, then and break that, then it's bull market. And that would be bull market for everything, but especially for Bitcoin, but for everything. We would be in bull market territory. Things would be going crazy, and that's how I see it. So yeah, you'd find your first push up to 11,000, maybe 11,200, maybe straight up to, you know what it's like, bull territory. It could go bonkers and bananas, but we're not there yet. So we can only theorise and speculate as to what's going to happen. So this is the deal, and the thing is about this now is that we do have this trend coming down here. Do we have a support channel? Let's have a look to see if there's anything we can map out. You can give me a bit of space there, mate. Now, are these in any way? Is there anything that we can, anything tangible that we can? There's not really, is there? There's no real support to it, which to me makes it a little more bearish than bullish, because I mean, on this one that we had this channel here before the big breakdown, it was kind of similar to the one we're in right now. So I don't know what's happened to that. Kind of similar to the one we had now, but we had a support trend, so we knew where we could break down from. We don't have that now, so we're kind of meandering around these sort of lowish kind of levels that we're at. So whether that's bullish or bearish in itself, I couldn't really say. It's difficult because all I've got to go by now is areas to short on it. Don't have areas to go back long on it, We've got historical sort of areas that are below 9,000, which we've bounced from around 9,000. We've bounced from there several times, 9,050. So we're dancing around this area, which is probably around about roughly about a 2% or more area. It's a bit of a it's almost 3% area. We'll put a box in there instead of a line, because the area of resistance is a bit more ambiguous. What am I doing? What am I doing? I'm drawing little things all over the place. Sorry about this. It's been a very long day. Late video here because my daughter, she decided she was going to have a nap. She was toddler tantrums. Decided she was going to go for a nap at 4 o'clock, and there was no other way around it. And she stayed asleep till 6, which meant that bedtime was postponed. Only really got to bed about an hour ago. So that was my evening, rendered completely obsolete. And I'll pretty much be going to bed the second I've uploaded this video. So supports and resistances around this area. Actually, this is going to be like a big box of supports and resistance. Where could we face it up to? I'd probably say it's around about there. So we're talking about 9,055 to 8,800, roughly speaking. Roughly, we'll just round it up. So anywhere within here should find support, anywhere within this area. So you can see the wicks have come down into it several times, candle bodies also, and also when we get stuck in here, it's similar to what we're going to be looking at Matic shortly. You get stuck in this little box. So this area, if we got in here and found it turning into resistance also, I would imagine that being bearish. Now we do have a very subtle negative slope on the green 50 exponential, but now that we're above it, it's unlikely to have that. And actually, when we look a little closer at it, we're being supported from it on the daily. So this could be our new trading range until something breaks, anywhere from 9,190 to the top area of the range, or like I say, it'll be a little bit less tomorrow, but so about 9,190 to roughly about 9,360, I'd say, roughly, give or take, as of tomorrow. So it's actually a very small trading range. One of those are going to have to break into the up, could test all the way up to this level 10,000. Breaking down could come into this blue box territory, and that's basically how I see it. And depending if we're stuck beneath here for a shorter period of time, and if we get underneath this green 50 exponential, as well as actually some of these other moving averages which are still beneath us. So technically, it's technically in the bulls have a chance here, definitely have a chance to push this above this trend line, and that would be something, and that could cause a big move, because we're above all major moving averages, and from what I can see, looks like we're closing above the Bollinger Band center. The bulls do have a chance to push this up and break out. Now, sometimes when you see these alt seasons take place, like what we've seen already, the money's got to go somewhere. People have been collecting satoshis, you know what I mean? Where do they want to put their sats? Most of the time you probably see it go back into Tether, but on occasion you'll see it go into Bitcoin. And alt seasons, not all the time, but are often followed by the finale would be a Bitcoin pump, because a lot of the money goes into Bitcoin. People have earned more Bitcoin from their mega wins that they've had, their 25 X's or whatever they've done, and they put it straight into Bitcoin. So it could lead to the bullish break, but then again, if we did do that bull break, we still have to break through this, which is the super resistance. So let's move on to these other coins then, shall we? Now that we've got that boring stuff out of the way, let's have a look at what's going on with Harmoney One and Matic. So we'll do Matic first. Matic on the daily looks flatlined on when you look at it like that. It's like a pancake. Which is interesting for Matic. It doesn't often look quite like that, but does this mean that we've spent a relatively decent amount of time in accumulation? Maybe. We don't have any kind of bearish cross on the sats level on the daily here. Let's go to a 12 hour, see how that looks. Nor do we have it on the 12 hour. Shall we go to the 4 hour? 4 hours has previously had its death cross here, but now we're getting a bit of a move to the up. Let's have a look at these other indicators. So that looks like it could perhaps maybe gain some sats. Maybe we are at the top of the Bollinger Band, above most moving averages, but being rejected from the 200 simple actually, and also the top of the Bollinger Band. So I think on the sats that looks like it might have topped out for the moment. Let's have a look at this area, which is a little bit more telling. Okay, alright, so that is good. Well, I say good, I mean it just shows that TA does work. So we've had this upwards trending of support. We had a support line. I remember saying this on the live stream yesterday, so wade through all my rambling on that if you wanted to check it, but I mean it's the same as I always say with Matic for the time being. Since we broke down out of this descending this uptrend of support, we broke down beneath it, and it's now turned into resistance. So the things we've got going in our favour is the 200 exponential, which clearly held support there, and we're in this blue box. You can see this blue box area here, which is the trading range that we've been stuck in for over a week now. So anywhere from 1.85 cent to 2 cent, and if we were to break above 2 cent, then we have to break above this what was previously support, which is now resistance. And you can see that what happened is we came up exactly to test it and we rejected from it. Now that's the first time we've broken out of it in over a week now, so that was good for Matic. It was a good attempt, definitely. It's nice to see it come out of this blue box territory and rear its little head up to at least try to do something new, but it couldn't do it on its first pass. What we want to see now is over the next day or two, while the altcoins have still got a little bit of momentum in them, if we can break above here, breaking above this and turning this back into support, or just breaking above it in general and closing above it, what I would say ideally obviously on a daily chart, would be bullish for Matic, and I would expect it to at least rally up to its the top of the Bollinger Band. I'm talking 2.3 cent, and maybe more. We could even break that, because technically it's still alt season. We could break that and we could come up to test areas like 2.5, maybe even 2.7, which would be huge. That would be absolutely massive from that level there. So all the way up to there, we're talking. It's a bit too big, but it's not unheard of. 24% to as much as 34%. I mean, that's very, very unlikely. But to come up to the top of the Bollinger Band, we're talking a 14% move. Now, that's not out of the realms of possibility for something like Matic, but we do have to break above this upwards trending level of resistance, which, like I say, was previously support for quite a long period of time. So that's how I see Matic, and it's easier to look at it on the tether pairing than it is on the Satoshis. So, but other than that, if we are to come down, we're probably going to come back down into this blue box, and we'll be supported around these areas. Breaking down beneath that, we'll be supported on the 200 exponential. So to come down any lower than 200 exponential would be a sign of things to come. But it's showing reasonable strength, or not, I wouldn't say strength. I'd say perseverance, if anything. So that's where Matic is right now. It could be on the verge of a big move. This could be its little test to see how strong the bulls are when it comes to the Matic case. I think a lot of people, even the bots and stuff, are probably quite scared of Matic at this point. I mean, when you look at a chart like that, it does look quite scary, to be honest with you. It does look very scary, but it doesn't mean that you can't make moves on it. This is definitely a traded range, and this is, from what we can see, supports and resistances, trend lines all being respected. So there is some method to the madness on this chart. Talking about method and madness, let's have a look at Harmoney One. So we're looking at the sats, alright. So it's a very low sat coin, so it's a little bit messy. It looks like a bed of nails, really, with all these rejection points. But bear in mind, when you got satoshis of the a coin that's worth next to nothing, you'll see a chart like this, very spiky, because each move is a considerable amount, really, in percentage, just from one tick up or one tick down. So looks to me, unfortunately, on this occasion that we may have double topped at 63, making me think that we want to come down and test some of these lower levels, not lower levels, but just consolidate a little bit over the next day or two before we try that one again. Now, the last time we saw this kind of happen recently, you see all these rejections here. Let's just look at it from this perspective. So we made a jump all the way from 39 over 2 days to 52. That was a really, really nice big move. That was 33%, 33.5% in the span of 48 hours. So that was really good. And then what happened is that we were brought way back within the Bollinger Band because we just, it went crazy at that point. Brought back in. Okay, let's have a look at some of these other indicators. So RSI and all this lot did have it had a chance to continue, but it didn't. Got brought back in. MACD was still bullish, and we're still bullish now. But when we look at this, it did rally even further. So if we just measure that from there to there, we're talking 40, almost 46% move to the up. But then we keep coming down to 52. 52 is the area that we were closing around. Okay, between 52 and about 50 or so. But generally being respected for a very small amount of time on the 200 exponential moving average here, and then that broke down and we came back down to the 50. Now we don't yet have a golden cross on the daily, but we do have them on the 12 hourly and obviously all the ones prior to that. So there are golden crosses playing out, and this, I believe, let's just double check, but it probably was a result of the golden cross, and it wasn't actually. That was this one back here. Golden cross was imminent, and it took place at this level here. So actually, let's measure that out here. So yeah, we came back down, almost dumping back into the price action of the area of the first golden cross, around about 43. So what I'm going to say is, on this, I would expect it now to come down to test the centre of the Bollinger Band, about 52, maybe the 200 exponential around 49. I know that sounds madness with a coin that I do expect to have a big rally on it, but the way that this price action's moving leads me to think that with a double top looking kind of like this, that it's not quite ready to make the next move. Let's have a look. As far as these guys are concerned, it could still make that attempt to go back up. Bollinger Bands are moving up and they're stretching, obviously, but I still think we could probably come down at least to 52. Let's have a look on the 4 hourly. Actually, we'll go to the tether pairing at this point. So today's high was higher than the previous high, but still looks a little. Actually, that's more positive that we had a higher wick than the previous high. So in that respect, it wasn't quite a double top. A double top, usually what you'd see would be a wick that's just a little lower than the previous one, suggesting let's get out of this move. It's not going to make it. So we did actually surpass that on tether today, which is good. So it may actually have that continuation rather than dumping down as far as I thought. So if we look at this now, maybe our first opportunities to buy in would be where the 10 simple is, around about 494. If that fails, the centre of the Bollinger Band, 479. I know these sound like low figures, but it's not impossible. And if that breaks down, we could be coming down to test these guys. Now look, we've got a golden cross almost forming. Okay, it's going to take place, I'd say, within a 7-day period at the price action we're at right now. If we go much higher than this, it'll happen sooner than you think. And probably if we go much higher than this, that golden cross will be taken into consideration already, and probably end up playing out in a giant pump. So it is a dangerous one to play with on this one. Ideally, I wouldn't want to get back in until we see us testing either this, or this, or maybe even this. But I'm not so sure we'll come back down to the bottom of the Bollinger Band on the daily there. I think we've got enough moving averages and other supports to keep us up. So if you're looking at it on tether, I've got alerts set for 500. If we break down beneath there, I'll keep a close eye to see how far we're going. You've also got to look at the nature of the rest of the market. Okay, so if Bitcoin starts to considerably dump, we'll see how far it brings one down with it. The last time Bitcoin did a dump, Harmony came down quite a lot, but recovered really well. Harmony is definitely in my crosshairs. All right, I've made a trade on it yesterday. Now I sold already. I'm looking to get back in again, but the whole Bitcoin scenario is making me a little nervous. So the reason I'm not holding any trades at the moment is, first of all, when something looks like this, it's definitely worth selling. You know, when you're breaking outside of a Bollinger Band like this, and the volume is actually quite low, so it wasn't really a move that was going to be sustained. So I sold up. I do want to get back in, and those will be the areas that I'll be looking to get back in at. Between Harmoney One and Matic, I think that they both have a fighting chance of making some really significant moves. I can't say, you know, which one is going to be the biggest performer, but I like the setup on one much more than I like the setup on Matic, and I like the fact that you can't short Harmoney One, and obviously we all know what happens when you short Matic. But again, you know, with a Bitcoin that looks reasonably bearish to an extent, you know, how far can we really put our trust in altcoins? I know that is alt season, but all alt season really means is that Bitcoin dominance is dumping. Doesn't mean that everything should go up. That's not technically what it means. It's interpreted that way, and it becomes, I suppose, a self-fulfilling prophecy, which then just encourages it more and more and more. But the bottom line is, we all have to stare at the way that Bitcoin moves in order to trade anything at all. So you can have a nice setup like this one does on Harmoney One, which I'm telling you, it is a very nice setup. It looks really good. It looks ready to go. Same with Matic in a sense. You know, if we break above this trend line, it's all set up and ready to go. But if these kick in, if we break above here and close above here, and I feel like making a trade on Matic, and then Bitcoin decides that it's broken down beneath the 50 exponential and maybe even breaks down beneath this blue box territory, then we have to reevaluate these charts again, because these charts will change. You know, they're not going to look like this. They will be dumping just as much as Bitcoin dumps. So at the moment, you know, you've got to keep your eye on Bitcoin, keep it in the back of your mind, but at the corner of your forefront of your site, all right. But like I say, these two specifically do look okay, you know, but I wouldn't trade it. Me personally, I'm going to bed, so I'm not putting any trades on now. Tomorrow I'll have a look at the situation, I'll work out what Bitcoin looks like it wants to do, if it's coming back up to test this trend line, if it breaks it, if it's rejected from it, if we come back into this blue box territory here, which is basically the very bottom of 9,000 into the 8,000s again. Personally, I think Bitcoin wants to go lower, but it all depends on breaking out of this trend. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there. Quite a long video. Sorry to bore you to death. I hope that had some value to it, and I hope you have a nice evening. Take it easy.